Hey gamers, my name is Key. I am a pretty advent Final Fantasy XIV PvP player. Today I will be a guest star on one of the bigger communities Twitch channel, PvP Princesses, and we will be doing a all ninja frontline Q-Sync event. And there are plenty of good ninja players out there. But there are also probably some people who have never touched this job. So if you want to participate, I'm going to give you a very brief and simple explanation as to how to play ninja. Ninja is one of my favorite classes. Actually, it probably is my favorite class, which is why I made the request that we do all ninja frontline event today. So yeah, so let's get into it. So first, you have your 1, 2, 3, which I was just pressing. So 1, 2, 3. All right, and then you have your shurikens, which can be used from pretty far distance, like almost all the way across the entire area. They do 8k. Then you have your dokomori, which is some still referred to as mug because that's what it was before 7.1. I still call it mug if I like make a call out in a game or something. It increases damage taken by 10% from any of your abilities. So if I mug this striking dummy and then I throw a shuriken at him, it's gonna do 8,800 instead of just a flat 8,000. Also, you'll notice because I use mug, I got a new ability. It just disappeared. I'll re-show it when it comes back up, but it's called Zesho Meppo, and it does 4 hits that do pretty low potency, but they add up to a lot of damage. So if you take the full damage, the mug, so it turns into Zesho Meppo here, and you press it, it looks like this. That's another 8,000 damage. Alright, this is the mudras. Mudras have their own system to it, so I'll do that last. Bunshin. Bunshin is a shield for you, and it gives you 5 stacks. These 5 stacks allow a shadow clone to spawn and help you do extra damage. So if I do my basic combo, you can see my shadow clone appearing right here, and it helps me do an extra 4,000. It does 4,000 on almost every ability. It is halved on shurikens, the 2 stuns that I will show you in a minute, and Zesho Meppo. Alright, and then finally we have your main escape, which is Shikuchi. So you can ground target it. Here's my little ground targeter here. So I'm just going to go over here to this corner. You turn Invis, and your first ability turns into Assassinate. I missed the timer because I was explaining it, but Assassinate does 12k, and it also goes through guard. So if this striking dummy had their guard up like this, and the ninja Shikuchi next to them, and then pressed Assassinate, it would do full damage through guard. That's a great way to get your targets low for your LB, which I'll talk about in a bit. Alright, so now let's go back to the mudra system and explain it. So when you use a mudra, you get 6 different buttons that appear. Okay, you have Forge Raiju, which turns into Fleeting Raiju, and both of these buttons are a very long-range stun, and it has a 10-second timer for you to throw other abilities in between before you stun again. So I'm gonna stun with 1 second left, like that, right? When you use one of your mudras, you will notice you get a debuff that locks the one you just used. So you can't use the same mudra over and over and over again. Otherwise, people would just use stuns over and over again for ninja, and it would be extremely annoying to deal with in all PvP modes. So they implemented this system to lock it when you use it. So when I press mudra again, this ability is grayed out, and now I have to use one of these 5. Okay, so the second one is called Hyosho. It's your biggest single target hit. It throws some ice shurikens and does 16k. It is a spell, so Bunshin does not affect it. Bunshin does not make Hyosho do any extra damage. But if you want to quickly get your target low, because you're looking for your LB, use Hyosho. Alright, I'm gonna press it again. The third one is called Goka Mekiaku, and Goka is basically just a fireball AoE. So in frontline, you'll sometimes see ninjas get really high damage. Well, that's because that fireball AoE right there is pretty big. Notice I targeted this one, and I still hit this striking enemy. It's a really big AoE, so on Onsel specifically, ninjas will just throw their Goka charge on top of enemy ramps, and they will get a ton of dot damage value out of it. It's also a spell, so Bunchin doesn't affect that either. Alright, so the other three, those three I just showed you are offensive options. The other three are defensive options. So now we have Meisui. This is a heal. And it's also, with 7.1, also a free Purify charge. So if I'm in trouble and I press it, because I think I'm about to get like stunned or heavied or binded or whatever, I can press Meisui and maybe have a lucky chance of ignoring whatever crowd control effect they just threw at me. It's a flat heal of 8k, and then it ticks for 4k twice, so it's a pretty juicy heal. So keep that in mind. You always have that in your pocket. The other thing you have in your pocket for defensive that's quick is Huton. Huton is a 16k shield. It's a humongous shield, and yes, you can combine it with Bunchin and it will stack. So Bunchin is a shield that gives 8k, and Huton is 16, so together it's a 24,000 shield. So ninjas can have up to 84,000 health, which is kind of nuts. So it's a really good way to get in. Not only does Huton give you a shield, but it also gives you a recast. So I'll use Meisui real quick so I can get my Huton back. So if I pop Bunchin, then I go here and I pop Meisui, I'm gonna throw my shurikens. You'll notice that this comes back off cooldown way faster. You're much faster. You can do damage much faster. It's very useful if you're trying to simply get somebody down very quickly. Alright, and then the final Mudra, which is probably the least used, but it does have a couple of use cases, is Doton. So Doton, you put it on the ground. It does damage in an area for 3k. Dot tick, if you get lucky enough to put this on top of a enemy ramp before you can run away, you can get some extra dot damage. So it's like another way to another good way to pad your damage. So I'll put it down again. There's one more effect for it. So when you put it down, if you use a weapon skill while you're in, you'll notice that it procs for even more damage. And it also heavies, and it does this heavy every time you use it. To get that extra damage and that heavy, though, you have to be standing in it. So if your team is pretty aggressive and they're looking to fight on top of an Onsel midpoint, if you put your Doton down and then you just kind of stand there with your tanks and whack people, you're actually going to do a decent amount of AoE. It has very rare use cases, but when you do get those use cases, it can produce a lot of extra damage. Alright, so finally, we have your LB. So your LB is an execute. Okay. It executes targets who are lower than 50%. So up here it says 46%. So if I were to press my LB on my target, it would execute them. Now, striking dummies, it doesn't actually do the execute. If it did, it would reset it to full HP. If you use your limit break on someone but they're above 50% health, it does 12k damage through guard. You can still get lucky, and if your team is also hitting that target, your LB can reset. So what does a resetting LB mean? Essentially what it means is when you kill someone with your LB, it comes back for 7 seconds. You have 7 seconds to use it again, so you can chain kill enemies. So I could execute this dummy, and then I could execute this striking dummy, and then I could execute this striking dummy. and then this one, and so on. You get the idea. You can chain kill. Every time you get a chain kill, your duration goes down by 1 second. So after the first kill, you have 7, and then 6, and then 5, and then 4 is the minimum. 4 is very hard. 4 is pretty much you throw a shuriken, and then you have to use it to try to execute somebody. I love using Ninja LB in frontline when the enemy team is running away. Because number one, I might get several kills out of it. Number two, even if I don't, I'm going to get an assist just because I pressed the button. I'm going to get an assist there. And if that target dies, it's just gonna reset. So you can keep hopping from target to target to target to target, and eventually everyone's gonna die. So I think the best use case for it is to do it on a team that is running away. Another use case for it, honestly, in frontline, is to very quickly shut down a BH5 target that takes some unexpected burst damage. So like, maybe a team is running in, right? And they have this BH5 Reaper that's been doing a lot for their team, and he takes like a sudden huge amount of burst damage. If you get that LB off on him before he's able to do anything, you have completely shut down the potential chance of your entire team getting feared. Honestly, as much as I hate to use Ninja LB on only one person and having it reset, I do it sometimes because it's going to make team fights a lot easier. So yeah, that's Ninja. That's the abilities. It has a lot. It's not the easiest job in the world. There are definitely easier jobs to learn, but it's also not the hardest. Once you figure out how the Mudra system works, it's very easy. So yeah, as far as role actions go for frontline, you have Bloodbath, Swift, and Smite. Yeah, you don't need Bloodbath because the only real way you would use Bloodbath is on your Goka. You don't need Swift because you have a heal, a shield, and a teleport, which means that leaves you with Smite. So I've got Smite right here. So here's what you don't have to exactly do this combo, but here's an example of what a ninja combo might look like, right? Shuriken, stun again, Smite. There you go. Smite is basically a mini version of your LB, because guess what? It also resets. So if you keep smiting and your smite keeps resetting and you keep getting kills, you're just a kill machine. I've already seen a screenshot since 7.1 of a ninja with 41 kills in a frontline match. It is very possible. So make sure to use smite. It's a very powerful tool for you. Okay, so now let's talk about how to get the most value out of Bunchen. So Bunchen, as I said earlier, adds potency to your attacks. The most amount of damage you can get out of Ninja is about 70k, which you basically just saw me do. During your Bunchen window, to get the most damage, you need to use your Dokomori and get Zeshomepo. You need to try to use your Assassinate. You need to use both of your stuns and a Shuriken, because this Hyosho cast, remember, is a spell. It says right down there in the bottom right, it says spell. Notice here it says weapon skill. Bunchen only applies to weapon skills. So it applies Shurikens, 1, 2, 3, your stuns, Zeshomepo, Assassinate, right? So you cannot use Bunchen with Hyosho and expect it to do extra damage. So one more time for the combo. So Bunchen, Dokomori, Zesho, Assassinate. Oop, there's my Hyosho that didn't count. Stun 1, Shuriken, stun 2. Okay, that's how you get the most value out of Bunchen. That's the one tip I'm going to give you. And And then the other tip I have for you is just when you are chasing down a team and you think you can get a couple kills before you have to back off, that's a great time to use your Ninja LB. Make sure you get that battle high if you're not already at 100. And yeah, that's Ninja. I hope you guys found this useful. Hopefully I make sense. I'm generally not very good at explaining things, but I do try my best. And if you want a written version of what I just explained to you, I have a Ninja guide in my Google Docs folder. And you can DM me on Discord, key2498, if you have any questions and or you want to see that guide and read it for yourself. So yeah, thank you very much, and hope you guys enjoyed Ninja.